What's up, guys? It's Jordan here from the Deck Box, and today we're coming back with actually one of our first ever deck profiles on this channel, and we're going to be starting off pretty strong with a Gardevoir GX deck list. As most of you probably know at this point, Gardevoir is one of the most hyped cards right now in the standard format, and actually it's making a little bit of splash in the expanded format, which I know a lot of people didn't think that that was going to be possible or very feasible, but it is making a little bit of headway in there. Maybe not as much as in standard, but it is doing something great. So I'm going to run through this deck, what kind of makes it tick, how we like to play it here at the Deck Box, run through some of our ideas, how we came to our 60 cards. So obviously I'm just going to real quick talk about Gardevoir GX, what it does, and that's kind of what this whole deck revolves around. So starting off, Gardevoir GX is a Stage 2 Pokemon. It's a GX, so you give up 2 prizes when this is knocked out. It has 230 HP. One of our, in fact, I believe it is the weakest Stage 2 as far as HP goes, with only 230. Typically, you see 240 on Pokemon like Decidueye, and then 250 on things like Solgaleo, Metagross, etc. So 230 HP. It has an ability called Secret Spring, where once during your turn before you attack, you may attach a fairy energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And you'll see real quick that this pairs up nicely with the attack, which is Infinite Force. It's for 1 fairy energy. This attack does 30 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. And Twilight GX is the GX attack. Shuffle 10 cards from your discard pile into your deck. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about this card, what helps it with its matchups, and which ones are good, which ones are bad. So without further ado, I'm just going to run through our lineup of Pokemon. Obviously, we're going to have 4 routes, 2 Kirlia, and then we're doing a 3-1 split between Gardevoir GX and Gallade. With some of our support Pokemon, we have Tapu Lele, one of the most expensive cards right now, yet one of the most integral to many of these decks. We have 1 Alolan Vulpix, a 1/1 Remoraid Octillery line. We run 1 Comfey, and then we run a 1/1 Cutiefly Rabambi line. So I'm going to run through, some of the things that we use that are maybe a little bit different than most, but maybe the same. So starting off with the 3/1 Gardevoir Gallade line. There's a few reasons for this. Obviously, we know Gardevoir's attack. We just went through that. We know how great that can be. 1 fairy energy attached, you're already hitting for 30, which I know isn't a ton. Strap a choice band on, you're up to 60. And then for every single energy after that, it's an additional 30 damage. A lot of decks right now are running Pokemon that typically take 2 to 4 energy. A lot will be in that 3 to 4 range. Mainly things like Tapu Bulu requiring 3 energy, Volcanion EX, Turtonator, Ho-Oh, Metagross. The list kind of goes on and on. They typically require about 3 to 4 energy to make their moves. So they're giving away free 90 damage just to start off. With that Secret Spring ability, you're able to attach your fairy energy with the ability. You can attach a DCE for turn, and you're up to 3 energy on your side. 3 on your side, 3 on theirs. That's 180. Add a choice band, you're up to 210. You're KOing nearly every Stage 1 and all basic GXs at that point, which is pretty fantastic just to be able to get up and swing in that fast. The reason we run Gallade is probably threefold. First of all, you have the Premonition ability. And what that allows you to do is once during your turn before you attack, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put them back on top of your deck in any order. So that pairs really nicely with the Octillery, with the Abyssal Hand ability, where you can draw till you have up to 5 cards in your hand. Well, if you have that capability to do that, if you use Premonition, you get to decide which card you're going to draw when using Abyssal Hand. So that really pairs nicely. To where you can just keep getting set up, maybe get that extra energy, maybe get the Guzma for game, whatever it may be. Secondly, is it has a great attack. Sensitive Blade, it does 60, but if you played a supporter card from your hand during this turn, the attack does 70 more damage. So the great thing about that is you're pretty much always going to be using a supporter. If you're not, you're probably in rough shape. But if you do, you're up to 130 damage. Now, there's a few different utilities with this. One, if you're facing a deck that is weak to fighting, one that comes to mind would be Darkrai. And then the future Guzzlord, yet to see if that will be playable or not. Some are considering it a meme. It's a pretty tough meme if you ask me. But anyway, so he's going to be hitting double damage against those. He's going to be one-hit KOing Darkrai EXs, Darkrai GXs, Umbreon GXs, Guzzlord GXs, and the list goes on and on. Drampa GXs, almost forgot him. So that's the great thing. You have a one prize attacker taking out two prize attackers. Just really goes nicely with the current format that we're in. The third thing that always comes to mind for me is I love to be able to have attackers that can get past certain abilities. And the one that comes to mind currently is the Alolan Ninetales, the baby version. And I know it's not seeing a ton of play right now competitively. I think people are still kind of sleeping on it, to be honest. With Hex being out of format, we're starting to see abilities pick up a little bit more. And I know there's still Garbo Toxin Garb, but you know, that's certain matchups. So anyway, so you have something like an Alolan Ninetales. Okay, you can't attack it with EXs or GXs. Same with the new Hoopa that comes out. I believe it's in Shining Legends, and they both hit for a decent amount of damage. So if your GXs or EXs can't attack those, they're just going to sit there and keep knocking you out, and they're just going to take the game by having this wall up of 110 HP. So Gallade kind of breaks past that barrier, and again, one-shots him with 130. So it's just nice having him as that secondary option. Always good to have him in your back pocket. I'm not going to run too much over the support Pokemon here. Of course, we have Tapu Lele, one of the new amazing draw supporting Pokemon that there is. You get to search your deck with that Wonder Tag ability, pick out the supporter you want, whether it's Guzma, Lysander, N, you name it. Lele's there to get it for you, and not a bad backup attacker if you're desperate, but preferably you're going to be using Gardevoir and Gallade. Artillery we've already talked about. Alolan Vulpix. This is one that I know has been heavily debated between Alolan Vulpix and Diancie. I do have intentions to try out Diancie a little bit more. I like to commit my energy to my attackers. So if it means I use Alolan Vulpix to get set up with that free beacon attack, then so be it. A couple things that we're doing a little bit differently. I'm starting to see this Comfey show up in some lists, and I'm really, really excited to see that. This was something I thought of pre-rotation. I've been testing for this format for a little bit, so I wasn't thinking quite the same way as most people. But what I love about Comfey is it's basically a replacement for the Wonder Energy, which prevents special conditions being done to your Pokemon with that energy attached. What Comfey does is the exact same thing, except it's any of your Pokemon with Fairy Energy attached. They can't be confused, paralyzed, poisoned, you name it. And, you know, we're starting to see a little bit more of the special conditions. They're not as huge with Guzma around. However, we know how annoying confusion can be from Espeon and paralysis. You know, I mean, because you can't retreat out of paralysis. So having Comfey there can definitely make a huge difference. And then the last support Pokemon I think pairs really nicely with this deck. But it's the 1/1 Ribombee line. So its ability is what we are playing it for, and it's called Honey Gather. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So right there, you're getting guaranteed 2 energy attached per turn, as long as you have a Gardevoir up. If not, you get at least 1, but you can use your Secret Spring ability, and you can do your attachment for turn. So that definitely, you know, really pairs well. If you're in a tight spot, you can just automatically use your Ribombee. It keeps you end-proof. In fact, a couple of these cards keep you end-proof. Octillery, of course, you know, you get end to a low hand size, you're just going to bump right back up to 5. So it's kind of pointless for them to do that. If you get end down low, you can use Ribombee, get your energy. And preferably you do Ribombee first, get your energy, set it up, then Octillery, blow through some more cards, and just keep doing your thing over and over. One more thing I want to talk about with our Pokemon. Obviously, Gardevoir GX's GX attack is huge. You get to shuffle back 10 cards from your discard pile. And I know that, we've lost VS Seeker recently. So in this deck, this could be a potential answer to that. I'm not saying it's the best answer, but in this particular deck, it definitely does help. If you know that within the next couple turns, if you can just get a Guzma to bring up a 2 prize attack, or maybe a Lele, whatever the case may be, and knock it out and get your final 2 prizes, and you can use Twilight GX to get back your Guzmas that you've probably already blown through at this point, it's just crucial. It can be game changing. Then one particular matchup that I'm thinking of is with Gardevoir, any variant of Gardevoir. There's Espeon Garb, there's Rampa Garb, now there's Golisopod Garb, and they all feed off of those items. This deck, with rare candies and such, it kind of blows through those items. So having that Twilight GX, using it as your turn, again, for 1 fairy energy, you get back 10 items, you just took away 200 damage from an attacking Gardevoir, or potentially they can't attack you at all because you just took all your items, and whatever support you may need. So just a really great strategic move is choosing when to use your GX attack. And I know for me personally, it's tough to take a turn and not attack something and do damage. I really like hitting things hard and just getting those KOs. So if I'm having to use my turn for that GX attack to just shuffle back some cards, I feel like I've kind of wasted my turn. But really, in this deck, it's not a waste at all. It's quite important. Next, we're going to move on to the supporters. Going to go through these pretty quickly because they're part of many decks. Of course, we have 3 Professor Sycamore, 3 N. These are the 2 most important draw supporters in the game right now. They've been around for, gosh, forever, and they make a huge difference. We play 1 copy of Bridget. Preferably, we'd like to get that out on turn 1. We can get some routes set up, maybe a couple routes and a Remoraid, get things just up and rolling, hopefully have our Alolan Vulpix in the active so we can start dragging some Kirlias or Gardevoirs out and just, really get moving. Next, we're going to play 3 Skylas, and it's pretty heavy to see 3 Skylas. However, we're in a very, very strong Stage 2 format right now. I guess I actually don't want to call it Stage 2 format. We're seeing everything right now, which is great because it means that Stage 2s have a place to shine. We're seeing a lot of rare candy. And of course, Skyla helps us search out any trainer card we like, and preferably would use that for a rare candy or an Ultra Ball, whatever the case may be, whichever one you don't have in your hand, just to shoot straight up into those Gardevoir, start building up some energy, and then start swinging. Next, we play 2 Guzmas. This is kind of, this has replaced Lysander in the standard format, and I would argue that he does it a little bit better, being able to not only bring out one of your opponent's Pokemon, but also being able to pull one of yours out of the active. Maybe it's one that's about to be KO'd, or just one that you don't want to be attacking. So you can swap them out, start hitting the next Pokemon. Definitely a great supporter. Also, we play 1 Wally, and this is a card that I may consider cutting in the future to maybe add a 3rd or 4th of some of these cards. However, I'm still not sure. What I love about this card is, if I can't get my Skyla for rare candy, or I can't get my Gardevoir to pair with my rare candy, or whatever the case may be, if I can get a Kirlia out and I have Wally in my hand, it's just as good as using a Skyla to get rare candy, and I'm not having to use an item. So I can immediately jump from my Kirlia up into my Gardevoir. Kind of a surprise attack way of doing it, I guess, is the best way to put it. Last, we play 1 Acerola, and this may be where if I chose to cut Wally, I would add another Acerola. I was very hesitant to put Acerola in this list, simply for the fact that, yes, I do get all my energy back, that's fine. However, I have to put it back onto my Gardevoir, which is not always a guarantee, especially if I don't have multiple Gardevoirs set up to use their Secret Spring abilities to attach the energy. However, after testing a little bit, I see how crucial Acerola really is. I can be 10 HP away from being knocked out and just scoop it up, say, nope, you're not getting those prizes. And then I can bring the next one up and just start swinging. So Acerola, and so many good supporters in this last set, particularly Acerola and Guzma, are really making a splash, and they're 2 very key supporters in this deck. You'll see games won with those cards, guarantee it. Next, we're going to run through the items. Again, a lot of these are very standard, however they pair very well with this deck. So we have 3 Ultra Ball, we have 3 Rare Candies, 3 Choice Band, 2 Field Blower, 1 Rescue Stretcher, and then a Special Charge and an Energy Recycler. So just want to run through these, kind of talk about them. I know it's a lot of very standard cards, like we mentioned. We of course run the Rare Candy. It's very difficult to get your Gardevoir up fast against some of these speedier decks, the basic decks. So Rare Candy definitely helps to shrink those from stage 2s to basically stage 1s. We of course run Field Blower for a multitude of reasons. One, the most obvious is Gardevoir. This deck runs on abilities. There's Abyssal Hand, there's Premonition, there's Secret Spring, there's Honey Gather, there's whatever Comfy's ability's name is. I don't quite remember. However, there's 5 abilities right there, not including Tapu Lele, so 6 abilities. And if someone has a Gardevoir out, we're kind of dead in the water. Okay, so having Field Blower is very integral in this deck. I've considered putting in 3 again. That might be where that Wally comes out, tossing a 3rd one. I like to go heavy Field Blower if my deck runs on abilities. Next we have the second part of the Field Blower. If you're going up against a big basic, they've got a Fighting Fury belt, and they say it's a Bulu. They have 220 HP, and you can only get up to 7 energies between the 2 of you. And that's very likely that'll happen in that matchup because they like to get rid of their energies after they attack, which makes them a very difficult matchup. But if you get 7 energies on you and you can get them up to 210, but you just can't get that last one, Field Blower off their Fighting Fury belt and they're KO'd. You get your 2 prizes. So definitely, again, use Skyla for situations like that. If you've already kind of built up and don't need your Rare Candies anymore, Skyla's great to pull out any one of these cards, but particularly Field Blower as a second option from Rare Candy. Next, we have 1 Rescue Stretcher. Just get back any Pokemon that we may have had to discard early on. We try not to do that, of course. However, playing Ultra Ball, that's pretty much one of our few options, is getting rid of Pokemon that we can get back from the discard pile with VS Seeker gone. Next, of course, we run the Special Charge and the Energy Recycle for obvious reasons. This deck runs on energy. The more the merrier. So, again, early game, we have to discard some. Maybe we have that random delinquent, and it just really kind of screws us over. So we use these to get our energy back. And then, of course, Choice Band has become a key in many decks with such a heavy EX and GX format that we're in. It adds that extra 30 damage and can be the difference between a 1-hit knockout and a 2-hit knockout. So those are our item cards that we are running. Again, very basic, but all very, very important for this deck. Next, we are running 3 Fairy Garden for our Stadium of Choice. What this does, it just gives us free retreat if we have Fairy Energy attached. I've heard a lot of talk from a lot of people talking about just get rid of the Fairy Garden, you really don't need it. Your retreat cost isn't that heavy. I agree, it's not that heavy. However, again, our deck runs on energy. We have to keep our energy in play. So for now, this is what I'm choosing to run. I've also heard people swapping Fairy Garden for Silent Lab. Not a bad choice. It shuts off your other, your opponents from being able to set up. Your Rangaroos, maybe they haven't used their Leles yet. Shuts those off. If you're playing against Volcanion, they're not going to be able to use their Steam Up ability. So I can definitely see the utility in it. That would have to be probably a different layout of this deck, though. However, with we have Comfy in here, and of course that can be changed. But for now, Fairy Garden just seems to work really well with the construction of our deck. Lastly, we're going to move into the energy. What this deck runs on, like I've mentioned probably 30 times. And of course, we're going to need that Fairy Energy just to get up and running. So we do run 7 Fairy Energy. And these are fairly easy to come by at a 7 count. It's not unattainable. We can Sycamore into them, we can N into them, or we can use Rabambi. You can just pull 2 right away. So they may start to deplete pretty quickly, but if they're depleted and they're on your board, no worries. You're in a good spot. It's whenever they end up in your discard pile that we have to worry just a little bit, and that's when we pull out that energy recycler and get things going again. And the great thing is, if you have no energy in your deck and you have some in your discard pile that you know you need to attack that turn, again, that's where Cutie Fly comes in, or Ribombee comes in. Bring the energy back into the deck, you use Ribombee, you've got your energy back there, you're good to go. Lastly, we play 4 double colorless energy. What's great about Gardevoir that really struck people is it wasn't 30 damage or 30 damage times the amount of energy, and it all has to be fairy energy on you. What was so great is like it takes the 1 fairy energy, and every single one that you pile on after that adds 30. So DCEs in this deck are amazing. You're strapping on an extra 60 damage for every single one of these, and that can be your attachment for turn plus your Secret Spring. You may have 2, you may have 3 Gardevoir set up. If that's the case, doing 1 DCE as the attachment, 3 Secret Springs, 150 damage right there. And you're getting to do 4 attachments for a turn. You're breaking one of the most important rules of the game. So as you can see, just from seeing the profile without even seeing this deck in action, you can definitely see the strength behind it, how it gets up and running fairly quickly for stage 2, and that's something that we haven't seen in a while. You know, we had the big basics for a while, and I love that Pokemon's getting back to the stage 2s, and I mean even the stage 1s are getting a lot more action. So it's just great to see, because it opens up so many possibilities of what we can do, and these past few sets have really shown that. And I'm looking forward to working with all of you and showing you, you know, what we've come up with these cards, and just bring you along with us on our testing journey. So guys, I want to close this video out by saying thank you very much for joining me today and looking through these cards. I hope that maybe this has helped you. I know we're still all looking for those perfect 60 cards as we always do. That is the goal with all of our testing. So what I want to know from you guys involving those perfect 60 cards, I want to know what is in your deck box. Obviously, we are called the deck box. We want to know what's in your deck box. We want to know what's going on in your lives. Tell us maybe a fun deck that you have. Maybe you're taking it to League, or maybe you're taking it to some League Cups, making things a little bit serious. So if you've got a cool deck that you want to talk about, maybe it's a meta deck that everyone knows about, but maybe you throw in something just a little different, a little spice, just to make things a little bit more interesting. Let us know down in the comments. Also, guys, if this is your first time joining us, as it is probably for most of you, since we are brand new, please like and subscribe to the channel. We will be back very often, hopefully every week, with deck profiles, battles. I know we have the new Shining Legends coming out. I've already got some boxes coming from Dead Draw Gaming. Shout out to Dan, Danny, and Darren. Those guys are great over there. If you haven't checked them out, check out their podcast, check out their YouTube channel, and hit them up for some product. They're always great to work with. They can definitely help you out with your singles, you know, if you just need that one card, or the sealed product. So yeah, we have some product coming from them, and we will be opening that up on the channel for you guys. So until then, just keep testing, guys. Keep testing, and we'll see you next time.